Hey, my name's Ed, welcome to my channel. I make, modify and mend things, and this week I'm going to be continuing to make the bathroom and do some of the plumbing in my 43-foot narrowboat Joshua. So I want to get the water heater permanently fixed to the wall so I don't have to take it off again, just so I can plumb it all in. But to do that I need to fix this back wall to the stud wall, because there's going to be pipes coming through, and once the pipes come through, nothing can come on or off. So I need to get this wall covered. So I've cut this rough shape and as you can see, I've wedged it in, and now I just need to trim it down until it fits. There is going to be a piece of 9mm on this side. So once I've got it fitting here, I know that all I need to do is trim 9mm from this side here and it'll fit. So at the moment it's binding up at the bottom here, so I'm just going to trim that bit off, see if it fits. If it doesn't, trim another bit off, see if it fits, and so on. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm using the belt sander because it removes material way slower than if I was using a jigsaw or something. And the chance of me getting a good fit is better this way. It is a little bit frustrating because I have to do a lot of jiggery pokery to get this in and out a lot of times. But I find with the belt sander, because it removes material much slower, if you make a mistake, you make the mistake much slower, which it's easier to see where you're going wrong. Okay, so now that fits width-wise, that's much better. I think it's the height now. So you can see that I've got a gap on this side, and it's tight this side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure the distance, and then I might not cut quite that much off, but I'll probably do half of that distance on this side. Then test fit it, see if that fits, and trim as required. Slowly sneaking up on the fit as I go. It's a few hours later. This panel is now trimmed up and it fits the stud wall really nicely. I actually didn't end up having to go to the workshop to rip 9mm off the side. I just kept on trimming until it fit. It saved me a trip to the workshop. And what I'm doing now is I'm just filing a little rebate where those cables come out of the ceiling. In slightly the wrong place. So those cables will now go into this little rebate and then down behind the stud wall. And I did a test piece of this before I actually cut the piece. And it worked really nicely, and you can't tell the cables are there at all. So I'm really happy about that. And this should be a really nice, neat little solution to a mistake that I made. But oh well. I'm sure there'll be many more. And I might not be able to cover them all up like this. But in this case I can. So that's cool. Right, I'm going to test this. Now that might have looked easy, and it is to me because I've had plenty of practice. I've taken this piece of wood in and out of the boat probably 10 or 15 times to get it fitting that well. And with any luck, well, hopefully you can't, but you might be able to see the cables a tiny bit where I've sort of done a little rebate, but it's barely anything. And if you didn't know they were there, you wouldn't even notice. So I'm really happy with that. So I've cut this wall and fitted it, and it mostly fits in. All I need to do now is trim the very edge, and I'll probably do that with a belt sander once it's fitted. And I've temporarily fixed the gas heater to the wall because now I need to drill the holes in the back wall for the water pipes to come out. And this isn't soldered together yet, but I've just kind of cut it to length. This is going to be longer, but I've just put this on for demonstration purposes. And so my plan now is to fix this up to the water heater. I'm just going to roughly screw it up and then see where these need to go through. And the pipes will go through at 90 degrees. So that's going to give me a rough position for the holes. So I'm going to do that and then drill the holes in this, and then I can take all of this out, take it to the workshop and get it all painted there, because it's going to be much easier than painting it in situ. I've drilled the holes. They're not quite level, but I'm over it. I'm not going to notice when the pipes are there. Yeah, so I've drilled the holes through the wall, and now I'm going to solder up a couple of pipes. Oh, it's a bit bright. I'm going to solder up a couple of pipes to go through. So I've bought these connectors. I think these are called straight tap connectors, and they are what fixes to the fittings on that water heater. You solder them up, and they have these little washers that go on the top and make the seal, but obviously you can't solder them with the washers in place. So I'm just going to solder them up now, and then I can roughly all dry fit it together, I guess, before I take it all apart again to paint. I've cleaned up the ends of these copper pipes and fluxed them, and these are ready to solder now. Last time I used my blowtorch, it was a little bit fiery. Hopefully it doesn't do that this time, but I was also trying to use it upside down. So yeah, I'm just going to solder these. I actually quite like soldering. I've not done it before really, except on this project. It's something I never thought I'd really have to do. But yeah, it's quite cool. It feels really cool. And I think these solder connections are so much neater than the compression fittings or the push fit stuff. I didn't really want any copper on the boat, to be honest, because I don't like the look of it when you can see it, and that's why I've tried to hide as much of the plumbing as possible. I've dry fitted the pipes, and it's looking good. And around the back, the plan is they come out and I'm going to trim these down. I cut them deliberately long so I can trim them down. I know it's a bit of a waste of copper, which is quite expensive, but I would rather cut them too long than too short. And I'm going to have compression fittings on the back here, and the idea is that if I ever need to take this apart, I'll be able to do it. My plan to begin with was to solder another 90-degree bend on here, because the solder ones are so much lower profile and it would fit really nicely in this cavity, but I wouldn't be able to dismantle it if I ever needed to. So I'm going to put a compression fitting on the back, but I've just realised that even with a compression fitting, the olive isn't going to fit through this hole in the panel wall. So I am going to have to open out these holes a little bit, which is super annoying because they're really nice and neat at the moment. But I'm only going to open them out to like 18, 19 mil. So it shouldn't be too bad. It means I've got more clearance, a little bit more adjustability, and I'll also be able to take it apart if I ever get a water leak, which I'm hoping I never do, but you've got to plan for these things. So I'm going to open those holes out, and then I'm going to try and, well, I am going to fit these compression fittings. At least dry fit them anyway. I feel so dumb, and I bet lots of you were shouting at me when I was explaining the last piece about being able to remove these and opening the holes out. As soon as I've just opened these holes up to 19 mil, and as soon as I did that, I realised that my plan isn't going to work, because with these compression fittings, the nut gets trapped onto the pipe by the olive once you've used it, or once you've done it up for the first time, and it compresses the olive around the pipe. Yeah, this piece is now then trapped on the pipe, and clearly the olive will be able to go through this hole, but clearly that won't. So the first time I do these up, this piece is going to be trapped on and I won't be able to take it through this wall anymore. It's not ideal. I really wanted to be able to take this apart, and a push fitting, one of the plastic speed fit ones, doesn't fit in the cavity. The solder on one would lock, well, I would have to solder up a piece just here and it would be completely locked in, and I'd have to make up another entire length of pipe with an expensive straight tap connector on the end. So I don't want to have to do that. So I think I'm just going to continue with my plan with the compression fittings here, which at least I will be able to take apart if I need to. I can at least undo it and at least remove this vertical pipe that comes up. I think it's the least bad option in this scenario. Unless I drill a massive hole in there, which the nut can fit through, which I don't really want to do because it will look so ugly. So a development has occurred. While looking through this little box of plumbing fittings that came with the boat for olives, I stumbled upon this, which looks to me like a push fit copper elbow, which is way lower profile than the push fit plastic ones. So I did a bit of Googling, and it turns out you can get demountable push fit copper ones. Now this is demountable, but you do need a special tool for it, which I don't know if I'd fit in the space I have if I ever needed to demount it. However, there is another brand, Tektite. I think this might be a Tektite actually, but there's another version of this Tektite push fit fitting which you can demount just by pushing in a little collar, which sits in here, which is going to solve my problem. So I'm going to buy a couple of those and use those. So I feel much happier about that. So I've removed the kitchen units from the boat and some of the walls that I've been making as well to paint. Because once these have got paint on, then once I've fitted them, I don't have to take them out again, as long as everything fits together all right. So I've decided to take it all out and paint it now, so that, yeah, I can put it back in and fit the water heater to the wall and I don't have to take it all off again to paint. So I'm doing that. Painting is one of my least favourite things to do. I just find it so boring. It's quite nice that I'm not using any loud and noisy and dusty equipment. But other than that, I just find it quite dull and tedious. However, I recently discovered that from my local tidy tip, it has a reuse shop and you can buy tins of paint for £3. So that's taken a little bit of the sting out of the tail. At least I've not had to pay a fortune for paint. I'm actually using Dulux for this, which is way posher than I was expecting. But yeah, £3 a tin, your local tidy tip. If they've got a reuse shop, it's by far the cheapest place to buy paint from. And at my local one, they let me pry the lids off to have a look, so you don't have to risk buying a frosted tin, which is great. Or to check the exact shade, because obviously you don't get the choice of colour, but if you just want white, then it's fine. To you guys, this has been 2 or 3 shots, but to me this has been 3 days, and I'm so bored of painting. It's taken me so long because I've had so many panels to paint on both sides, and I've had to wait for it to dry properly before I can put another coat on. I tried painting it when it was just touch dry, but it just doesn't cover the same, so I've been leaving it for like half a day and then putting another coat on, but yeah, it's taken like 3 days. I'm on the colour coat now though, so I'm hoping this is the second coat of green on the panels that need to be green, and I'm hoping this is going to cover well enough, because I really just want to get all this lot fitted back into the boat. So I finally finished the painting and I've got the panels back to the boat. I did have a small disaster with the cargo bike while getting them here. They fell off as I was going quite fast and they dug into the mud. It didn't damage any of them. It has scratched the paint in some places and there was mud on them in others, which I managed to mostly wipe off, but I am going to have to touch up the paint on some of them, which is annoying. I didn't want to paint here because I don't want to get paint on my flooring or on the cladding. So I'll have to be super careful when I paint. I've got most of them fitted and I've trimmed this one down because this was sitting proud. So I've trimmed this down a bit and I've also drilled the hole for the light switch in this one. So yeah, the next job is I think I'm going to fit the light switch and I'm also going to fit the gas heater to this wall, hopefully for the last time, and then I can start connecting up all the plumbing. So I'm just having a tea break. I've got the water heater fitted to the wall now. The next job is to connect up the pipes that go up to the water heater. So I've got two pipes that come out and go into these two inlets. And then they run behind the wall. I've finally fitted some handles to these traps, which is really, really useful. And then they're going to run under the floor. So I'm back at the workshop. Because I've never done anything like this before, I don't really know the order in which you would normally do this kind of stuff. I need to get all my plumbing done, or that's the goal for this video anyway. But in order to do that, I seem to be having to do little side quests all the time. And one of those is I need to fit the basin in place so that I can eye up where the taps, the holes for the taps and the waste and everything are going to go. So what I've decided to do is fit all the furniture in the bathroom. And I mean, when I say all the furniture, it's basically only the basin left to go. So I'm going to make the countertop, which is going to hold the basin, and then actually fit this in place. And then I know where all the plumbing's going to go. And then I can do all the pipe work. So I've got this nice piece of ash. I really like the grain on this. It's really pretty. So I'm going to use this to make the countertop. And I'm just going to laminate up a few pieces of this and then cut it to size and shape afterwards. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've had a play around with these pieces and I think I've got a configuration that I like. I think I'm going to do this because then you've got sort of a vein of dark wood there on the join, and then this light wood joins the dark, and you've got this really nice bit of grain, and I want to keep this if possible. So my plan is this is going to go across the bathroom, but not right the way across. So the sink's probably going to go sort of like that. And I'm going to contour this corner. So this end is going to stay square and it's going to go up to the gunnel on this side. And then where the entrance to the door is on this end, I'm going to cut this probably to match the contour of the sink. So I'll probably use the sink as a sort of almost a template and just round that corner just to give you more space to get through that door. But yeah, I think I like this grain pattern how it is, because as I say, I want to keep this piece here. So if I cut this corner off, I'm not going to lose too much of this, and this is going to be prominent at the front of the countertop. So I'm just going to laminate these up and glue them and clamp them. Right, this feels like a major step forward. It's not really, but it feels like it. So I finished my countertop. That didn't take me that long to make, to be honest, half a day. And I made these nice little brackets to hold it, support brackets, out of the same ash. Working with hardwood is so much nicer than working with softwood. It machines so much more nicely, and it's so much stronger. You can actually, I made these little bits are glued and screwed to here, and they're quite thin. If that was softwood, it would have just cracked when I put these screws in, but because it's hardwood, it doesn't. Oh, it's so nice. Anyway, I've got to finish this. I need to put some finish on it, take it back to the workshop. I need to take all this apart again because I need to sand this, do the final sanding, and put some finish on it. And yeah, I've got this trap underneath which will go into the wall, and then the waste will come out somewhere over there. There's the waste. So I've got to connect all that up. But that is relatively easy compared to the tap, which is proving to be a little bit of a conundrum. So this is the tap I want to use. This is the mixer part, and that's going to stick out. Just this piece is going to stick out the wall, and this piece is going to be buried in the wall. But I want to be able to take this wall off if I ever get a leak, so I can remedy it. And at the moment, I just unscrew the waste, take the bolt, take the sink off the counter, and then take the counter off using the screws, and that's easy, and then I can pull this out. But if I have this fixed to it, and then all the plumbing is connected, effectively it locks this wall in. So, and the wall on this side, the skin on this side, will be wedged in by the kitchen, and I do not want to have to take the kitchen apart just for a water leak. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to suspend this in here somehow, secured to the battens ultimately. So I think I'm going to have to make up some metal bracket to sort of suspend it wherever it needs to be. And then I can take both skins off if I ever want to, and this will all remain in place with the plumbing intact. So I'm going to do some measuring. I'm probably going to have to drill the hole through the wall now so I can get my final position for this, and then measure up for a bracket and make it. I've hole sawed a hole in my pristine wall, and now this should fit in. Yeah, it does. There's a little bit of, yeah, the hole's a bit bigger, but there is a surround for this, so that's not the end of the world. So now I need to figure out how to suspend that there. And actually having a hole a bit bigger will give me a little bit of leeway. Yeah, good. Back at the boat, the bracket is made and sort of balanced there. Oh, this feels ridiculous. This bracket just looks ridiculous to me. But it does mean that I'm going to be able to suspend my tap without the skins of the wall on, which means all my plumbing can remain intact if I need to take the skins off the wall. So I think the next job is probably to fix this in. I've made these flanges to put holes through and screw into the battens, so it's held in place. I also need to get the pipes from there. One needs to go this side and one needs to go the other side. Obviously the one this side is easy, but as you may have noticed, this is in the way. And I also have a screw here that goes into this batten, but that goes up to this line. So there is clearance for me to get a pipe through, 15mm pipe. so I can drill a 15mm, well probably 16mm hole through. And I was tempted to trim this off to allow a pipe to come through, but I might actually just drill a 15mm hole through here and get the pipe coming through and then put a screw in the end. I've not decided yet. I don't have anything here at the boat to cut this with, which is the main, probably would be the deciding factor. So yeah, I'm going to fix this in and I'm going to get the holes drilled through for the pipe work, and then I'll bring you back. So I fitted a lot of the remaining pipe work, but as you can see, that's not very good. I don't know if water will flow through there. So I went home and I did a bit of Googling online, and turns out these ones exist as well. So I'm going to swap these over. Hopefully I can get my money back for these. They've not had water through them, so I can't see why. I'm also going to refit my basin countertop. I've sanded it and finished it. I used the same finish as my hardwood floor. It's really hard wearing. It's Osmo oil, hard wax oil, I think. And it's really good. It's really hard wearing. And I did the brackets in it as well. So I'm going to refit that and refit my basin. That's the basin fitted with the new, well, the counter in. Oh, I'm so proud of this. I love looking at it. It makes me really happy. All the woodworking practice that I've done, pallet tables and making my bench at the workshop, all that practice has paid off just in this one countertop. It feels so nice. I can't stop rubbing my hands on it because it's so smooth and the finish is so nice, and I love the grain. Even the brackets underneath I like. It came out so nice. I'm really looking forward to doing more woodwork like this actually, because that was really, really fun to make and satisfying. I've got my tap up and I put the actual tap bit on. So that's kind of ready. And I will be tiling the back of this. So there is a bit of a gap at the back here, but that's going to be tiled. So yeah, and I've ordered a short spout for the tap, because the one that came with this mixer tap was 220mm long, and it came to like here on the sink. So, well, not that much, it was like here. But I've got a 120mm one, which should come just shy of the plug hole. I need one that's about 145mm really, but it seems they only come in 220 or 120, so 120 will do, but it just won't overshoot massively, so that'll be much better. And I've also fitted the new tap connectors. I mean, they're still a bit, they're not kinked, which is way better, but they're still a bit tight in there. But I mean, this is way, way better. It's so humid today and I'm absolutely dying. I should not have worn jeans. Anyway, I'm gonna get on with the waste for the basin now. I've ordered the little spout and I'm waiting for that, so I can't do anything more with the tap plumbing. But yeah, I'm gonna sort out this waste. And I've decided to use solvent weld for the waste system. Now again, I don't know anything about this stuff, I just had to look it up as I go. But yeah, there's this thing called solvent weld, and it's by far the lowest profile waste system. You can also get compression, which is similar to like copper compression with threaded rings and stuff. And the other one's push fit, but both of those have massive fittings and they wouldn't really fit behind the wall very well. So yeah, I'm going to use solvent weld. So I've got this little adapter which will go onto my little waste spigot that goes out the side of the boat, and then I'll solvent weld a piece of pipe into here and it'll come to here somewhere. And then I've got this little 90-degree elbow which will go through the wall. Now I didn't know this when I decided to do solvent weld, but you can get, I think it's McPherson make this one, this little 90-degree elbow with a chrome compression ring on it. Now that's perfect because the waste pipe out at the bottom of my chrome trap is also chrome. So it's going to go in there and hopefully all you're going to see is that chrome trim ring sticking out the wall. So it's going to look so neat, like even neater than I thought it would anyway. So I'm really happy about that. So yeah, I'm going to get on with it. I'm ready to solvent weld. Now, every tutorial I've seen for solvent welding says to twist the fittings together once you've put this PVC cement on them. But the instructions on this says, do not twist. I think I'm going to twist. But it also says that there's crazy fumes that come off of this. May cause drowsiness or sickness. No, dizziness. So that's why I'm doing it out here. And I'm hoping there's a little brush. Yeah, there is. Whoa. Okay, I was not expecting it to look like that. Right. It says apply to both surfaces. And do not twist, but I am going to twist. Because that's what basically every plumber has said. Every YouTube plumber anyway. Right. Twist, 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 twist. Done. There is so much excess on there, but I'm just going to let that set. All right, let's do this end. Oh, I've made such a dumb mistake. So when I just did the solvent weld on this, I didn't push the fittings fully on. So now I've gone to actually fit it and the pipe's too long. It doesn't line up with my hole. This is going to cost me time and money because I'm going to have to buy these fittings again because obviously these are welded to this piece of pipe now. And this one nowhere stocks it. Nowhere stocks it on the shelf, so I have to buy that online. So I'm gonna have to wait another 3 or 4 days for that to arrive before I can do this. Oh, that's so annoying. Right, I've had a cup of tea and some time to think, and I know what I'm gonna do. Luckily, this is too long and not too short. So rather than order a new, whatever this is, coupler and a new elbow, I've spent £1 on this coupler. I'm going to chop this in half, stick this on, and then cut the required amount out and stick it back in the other side of this. And I should be able to sort out my problem for £1 instead of, well, that was £10 delivered, and then this was about 4 or 5 quid. So I'm saving a lot of money, and I'm not going to see this. I'm a bit gutted because now this is going to look really bloody ugly, but it's in the cavity, so I'm not going to see it. Okay, so after a lot of faffing and for reasons that are very boring, it's taken me ages to fit this. It is all connected now though, including the trap, which looks really nice. I really like that. I think it looks pretty neat, to be honest. I'm really happy I found this 90-degree bend with the chrome compression ring. I did shorten this by literally like 9mm, and I was way more careful when I pushed them into this coupler. So that fits really, really nicely now. I am going to now pour some water into the basin and test it for leaks. I'm a little bit nervous, but let's see what happens. I might regret this. I'm only going to put a little bit in there. I think the plug's sealed, so that's good. Right, I'm going to open it now. Shout if there's any drips. Well, I can hear it draining into the canal. So most of that water went out. So I'm getting leaks here and here, which is annoying. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do a bit more work on this. Right, so I've gone away, had some sleep, had quite a few cups of tea, and I bought some plumber's mate, some massive washers, and a kilo of pipe lubricant. So naturally, when I got it this morning, all I've done is nip all these fittings up and not used any of that. Because I realised that I'd kind of just left it dry assembled and I hadn't really tightened these collars. I had, but I hadn't actually nipped them up in my excitement to get it all fitted. So I filled up the basin with water while I was making a cup of tea, and it's held it. It's not dripping. So I know at least that plug hole is sealed to the basin. So I'm going to release this and I'm going to check for drips now I've actually tightened it all up. So let's see. No, so it's still dripping from the collar, but this one's sealed. So that's good, because that was my main concern. So this one is still leaking a bit. I'm tempted to nip that one up a bit more, but I could put some sealant on that. I'm going to call that a day for this video because it's starting to get really long. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, there's loads more boat videos up here, and there's more of my regular videos up here. I'll see you on the next one.